Welcome back to Midlife, y'all. And today we're joined by independent filmmaker and author Courtney Daniels. Welcome to Midlife, Courtney.
Hey, thank you.
So glad to have you with us today. Before we dive into your work as a filmmaker, I would love to take a step back and hear about a time, a moment, or milestone where you personally realized that you were midlife. Like, what was happening? How did it make you feel?
God, there's so many moments. I'm putting them all into a movie basically right now. Um, yeah, my brother was. I have a brother and sister who are much younger than I am, 20 years younger. They're millennials.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and my brother was visiting, and I had to go to some dinner, and I was trying to figure out what to wear, and I was in that time, like mid-40s, where you realize you cannot or you can continue wearing the young stuff you were wearing, but it's not as good, you know?
Right.
And I was trying to wear I was kinda trying to wear these like dressy shorts, you know,
Cute. You
with
could
like
pull that off.
thank you. But at the time, when you're so fresh out of youth and into this zone of being older, it was like I really was thrown of like, I don't know what to wear right now to, like
Yeah.
I express I could tell he was looking at me like the outfit wasn't working. And I said, Travis, do you feel like this is mutton dressed as lamb? And he didn't know that expression. So I explained it to him and he goes, yeah, that. And he wasn't being mean. He's a
No.
sweet, sensitive guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was it was horrible because I was like, "Oh my god, I look older to him now."
Right.
He's realizing,
Ooh.
yeah.
Well, what was resonating for me with this is it's not even that you had the experience, is that you had the experience through a younger person's eyes, which is when these experiences often happen for the first time because we're just going about our life. We haven't changed. We think we look the same in the mirror or close-ish. And then
Yeah.
through someone else's eyes or a camera, we see what's really going on, and it can be incredibly humbling and confronting.
Yes. Yes. A
I still
similar
think you can pull
thing,
it
you're
off, but I
right.
get it.
Thank you. Well, you kinda come back you kinda come full circle with where you're then like, "I can wear whatever I want," but it's more like
Yes.
you gotta get used to how you look different in whatever you want.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
adjustment, really, right?
That is the
Another
adjustment.
another another experience is I went to a, like, craft and commerce, Convert Kit, which is now called Kit, email newsletter. They had a cool conference in Boise, Idaho, and I went with a friend. She's a little bit older than I am, but she's beautiful, glamorous, always wearing fabulous clothes. She has great hair, everything top notch. And I remember realizing we were the oldest people there pretty much. Like, it was a whole bunch of 30 somethings.
Yes.
And it really hit me. I felt very uncool. She looked cool. I did not have my travel game. I did not have all my outfits every day I felt like almost apologizing and shameful. Like I experienced shame. Like I just didn't want to be
Yeah.
there as an older person. You know what I mean?
I
It made
I've
me
s
sad. It was tough.
That's a sad moment. I've had those moments where I'm like, "I don't fit in here. I don't fit in." Like, it's not them, it's me, and that's it's kinda heartbreaking, and then there's the upside of, like, where do I fit in? So here's a perfect example for me. I love my Pilates, and there's 2 studios in my neighborhood. They're owned by the same people, so, like, I just alternate, and typically I go to one, and it's the first early morning class, and it's women my age and older, and I love it. Even the instructor is my age, so when we all have a bad night's sleep, we talk about it. So, when I can't get into that class, I go to the other studio, and it's Young City. It is, like, 20 something Central, and so I
Okay.
went this morning, and I
Okay.
I went to the first class, 6 AM, thinking it'll be my peeps, even though it's a different studio. It was not my peeps, number 1. Number 2, it was not my instructor. Her cues were horrible. Like, I could not follow what she was doing, and I was like, I've been doing Pilates for, like, decades, so I know it's not me, but it could be me. Like, in that moment, I had to be like, "Is it me?" But
Yeah,
I just
I
was
believe it.
I so wanted to get up and walk out of class because I was not enjoying my experience, not because I felt old, but because I was like, "Something's off here, and I actually think it's me." Like, maybe
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with her,
It's
and who knows? I mean, I do think she could use some work on how she cues. Um, but it was
bet she
just
could because if you've been doing it that long, I'm sure your instincts were right.
yeah, it was just not the way I wanted to wake up today, but I'd paid for the class. I literally thought about getting up and leaving, and I was like, "No, I've paid for the class and I wanna be here and I've missed my reformer time and all the things." And then the class went long and they do tow your cars right at 7 a.m. So I got up and left at like 6:55 because normally they're supposed to be done at 6:50. And I was like, by the way, everyone, they tow. So everyone kind of got up. So I kind of disturbed the end of class. And I'm like, I'm that girl today. I'm just going to own that I'm that old lady today. And it's okay.
I know, right? Sometimes we are the uncool one. It's tough.
Accept
It's
it.
hard, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a dance. It really is. So let's switch gears into something that I think you are so cool at, which is storytelling. So when did you first realize or recognize that you were a storyteller?
You know what's funny? I still have not gotten used to as this whole storyteller word is kind of new from the past several years. You know what I mean? Like
It
it became a
is.
thing. I still call okay. So I call myself a writer, but you're right. We are telling stories and that's the joy, that's the fun thing of it. You know what? I was a very unremarkable student in school, like in high school and college.
Okay.
I was super mediocre. Like I was thrilled, relieved to graduate with a 3.0 from University of Texas at Austin, which I think that's a B average. It's nothing to be
It's still
proud of,
good.
but I was relieved. However, there was one class that I did well in always, and it was English class. And so I would get A's on papers that I wrote, and my teachers were encouraging. That was the only place I shined, you know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yes, I get that.
so I think I felt like, okay, maybe this is a strength for me, you know, even though it took time for me to call myself a writer and to embrace that, you know, identity, that I had a hint of it, I
Interesting.
think, in high
Like
school.
what era did you start embracing that you were a writer?
I think it was college, yes, because so I wanted to major in art. I wanted to be a painter, and my
Okay.
parents were not gonna pay for that. They were not paying for an art degree. So they said I had to do something more practical, and at that time in the '80s, advertising was a cool career that
Yes.
was artsy-ish, right? It was creative, and so I chose advertising. I now know that if I had rebelled at all, if I had said, "Okay, fine, I'm not going to college," they would have shit themselves and I would have been able to graduate with an art degree. But
Okay. Okay,
I
good
know
to
that
know.
now. At the time, I was not a rebellious kid, so it didn't occur to me at the time. But I took it seriously. Like they said, you got to change majors. So I changed majors. But so, anyways, when I got into advertising, the natural thing for me to be was a copywriter
Yes.
because I
It's a
thought
great
my ideas came to
career.
me. Yeah, it's a cool career. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, by the time I graduated, I didn't want to do it. So
Okay.
I didn't really
There's
want to be in
that.
advertising. I wanted to write, I wanted to make art, you know, so I either wanted to
Yes.
write plays or movies or books. I knew I wanted to make art, you know.
I love that. So what did you do after college?
I was I did not because I didn't want to do what my major was. I worked at Marshall Field selling Borghese makeup for a year and a half while I was going to write the great American novel. I did not end up pulling that off. What a shocker. A
So few
21-year-old
do.
can't pull off. Yeah. I was not Bret Easton Ellis or whatever. So then I got a couple jobs in advertising, like writing copy. I still didn't want to do it. And
Yeah.
then my husband and I decided to move to LA eventually to try to write movies. And so we came here in 19 yeah, we came to LA in 1997.
Okay. Oh, awesome. All right. So, do you both write them together separately? Does he write as well?
No,
No.
so he
Oh,
writes
okay.
with his brother. They're writing
Okay.
partners, and they write mostly television. Every once in a while,
Got
they'll
it.
sell a movie,
Okay.
but they're TV show runners. Um, and so while they were working their way up that ladder, I was writing spec scripts, feature spec scripts for like 8 years. And nothing happened. Nothing came of it. I got close, I'd have meetings and people would sometimes express praise for my work, but a lot of times it was kind of like, look, kid, good luck to you, Um,
Yes, I've heard
and
that
so
myself. I've heard that myself.
yeah, yeah. Only like
Okay.
in Hollywood, when people say good luck to you, it's a kiss off.
Yes. Yes.
They don't
And
really.
and it's the easiest way to say no thank you.
That's
So
right.
but you keep at it and you've made your own films. And this is what I'm celebrating in this moment because there's so many paths that are easier. And like, I love how true to your path you've chosen to be. I don't even know how, I think I'm still 54. I don't know. 1971. Yes. So, whatever age I am.
Yeah.
I, I've done it all like you, but, like, I've spent decades working in corporate as a copy director and messaging and marketing person, as well as copywriting in my own business and doing scripts on the side, and so I really celebrate that you knew who you were, you knew what you wanted, and you stuck to your guns because it's so hard to do. It's so hard to honor that artist in a world that requires folks to be practical. So I just
Yeah.
really am celebrating that for you.
Thank you so much. That's so kind. I
Yeah.
I'm aware that I answered phones for about 6 years. I had a day job in which I would write on my scripts at work while answering phones. And
Nice.
yeah, and I said to myself, I don't want a plan B because I will take plan B. So I don't want to have another career in film. I mean, in the entertainment industry because that might take over. And so I stayed in
Exactly.
these low level positions, and it's a little demeaning because people would say to me, "You're so bright. You could do more than answer
Oh,
phones."
yeah.
And so that was hard, like you just had to swallow your
Sure.
pride,
I mean, there's
right? And
trade-offs always.
yeah. And so it was tough. I always say I would kind of break down crying every few months, like, where's my life going? What am I doing?
I
Because
think they
if
call
I
that
was
the
writing,
artist path.
yeah, that's the
It's
art.
what we
Yeah, that's the
do.
typical.
Where am I?
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah. Just let me fall apart one more time.
Yeah. So I would love to hear because you are very prolific and you follow your ideas through. You've made several films, you create your own content, you've written a book. So, how do your ideas I just love to hear how your ideas come to you. And sometimes I wish they didn't because I'd like to write something else, but it's a compulsion and it's how my brain works. Mine always start as dialogue. Like characters are in my head and they're having a conversation and they're so loud. And if I don't write it down, they get louder. And so it's just easier for me to sit down and go, "Okay, what were you saying? Okay, got it, got it, got it. What else? What else you got?" And then I figure out kind of a structure around that. So that's been my way, but I would love to hear where ideas begin and how you follow them.
Thank you for asking. I relate to that. I also get dialogue. Characters will speak to me. And I think that's real common, right? Like you hear about one day this woman was speaking to me or whatever. So that happens to me too. Mostly I draw on my own life. My movies are embarrassingly autobiographical. I definitely push conflict to the nth degree. I definitely amp the drama. Sorry, my dog is acting out because I'm not available right now. We have a very needy
Your
dog.
dog wants to be on the podcast. Bring the dog in.
Yeah. 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 Come on up. Um, so,
Oh, cutie.
um, but Mostly I take whatever I'm currently obsessed with, you know,
Yes.
whatever my brain is constantly thinking about and exploring, and I try to come up with a plot that will enable me to explore that thing, you know? Like, I'll just
Yes.
come up with storylines that work with that.
I so get that, and I am very guilty of that as well. I have a series called Imposter Mom because I inherited my one-year-old niece with 9 days notice, like, I've written books about breakups because I was going through a breakup. So, like, I am with you where I like to wrestle on the page with things I can't quite make sense of in real life, and I don't have
Yes.
apologies for that. I do know it's not always fair or fun for the folks who are in my life who then see themselves reflected, and fortunately, I love my husband, so
Yeah.
he always comes off looking real good, but
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it, and we make up characters, right? Like, you're also making things up
yes.
completely.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
I I I make up a lot of the plot points. I definitely push things to a more interesting place, I hope, than my life.
Right.
If you have a happy marriage, and if you're lucky enough to have good family and stuff, you kinda have to make up a lot of the drama, right? I
You
mean,
do. We're drama adjacent. We have some family drama around us, so that
yeah.
helps, keep things interesting.
By the
Um,
way, how is it real quick, how did you come to have your niece? What
we'll talk about
circumstances?
yeah, talk about some
Okay.
drama. So on my short story is on my second date with my husband, I told him, "I don't want kids. This seems to be going reasonably well. You should know that. And I don't even know if I want to get married because most married people I know don't seem very happy to me." And he was like, "Cool." And I was like, "But I do want a long-term committed relationship. I've always known that. I've always known that I was here to be creative and I was here to give and receive love. Those are my marching
Yes.
orders in life." And he was like, "Great, sign me up."
Okay.
So we were on the same page about that. And uh his younger sister got pregnant when she was 18, 19, and I'm very intuitive, and in LA, you might call that woo-woo, who knows? But the
Yeah.
minute she got pregnant, my intuition was like, "We're raising this baby." Like, my intuition was like, "This is we're raising" like, it was very strong, just like the characters that come through, "We're raising this baby,"
Wow.
and I was
That's
and I was like,
amazing.
I was like, "Calm down, self, alright." And I had a psychic tell me, You're having a baby," and I was like, "Sort of." To the
This is
point that
wild.
my sister-in-law at the last minute asked me to be her labor coach because her baby daddy is Mexican and didn't speak a lot of English, and she wanted someone to advocate for her who spoke English, and my mother-in-law doesn't speak a lot of English either, so I was like, "Yes, absolutely, I'll be your coach, but just know I've never had a baby of my own, so we're winging this." So to the point that when she finally had a C-section and all was said and done and the baby went home without me, I was very confused. 'Cause I was like, I
Wow.
thought I literally thought my sister-in-law was gonna move in with us, and we were gonna help her raise her baby. That's kinda what I
Okay.
thought. So then a
Yeah.
year later, we got a phone call, and unfortunately, my sister-in-law and the baby daddy had been in jail, and the child had been placed in foster care, and no one had told us. And so we stepped in to become full-time foster parents. And so then I was like, "Is this how this was supposed to go?" Like,
Yeah.
I knew we were
Wow,
raising her,
maybe.
but we coulda skipped some of this. Um,
Yes.
so we got her we had 9 days notice, got her at 13 months, raised her full-time for 2 years, and then every weekend until the pandemic, and then pandemic, we switched, and she would do school during the week virtually here and go home on the weekends, and now she's 15. Yeah, and the coolest kid I've ever met. I'm like, "Who are you? I love you." Yeah. So that's how that
That's
happened.
amazing.
It's
Amazing. What a
it's
story.
I tell her every time I talk to her because we don't see her as much anymore because she's grown now and has her life and her friends, but every time we talk,
Yeah.
I'm like, "You made my life so much better, and thank you for changing me," and she's like, "You're welcome," because she knows. I'm like, "You wouldn't have liked me before you came along." Like, I was very
That's
I
amazing.
it's such a beautiful journey. So anyway, yes, so I wrote about that because I could not make sense of it when it was happening. Even though my intuition was like, "We're
Yeah.
raising this baby," that didn't mean I naturally knew how to be a mother or step in as a mother
Yes.
figure. I have a very contentious relationship with my mother, so I was not a natural nurturer, and I am just grateful that my husband was. I learned from him.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks for asking about that.
I
Um,
love that
I
story. That's beautiful.
thank you. So I this is so we initially met, you were speaking on a panel about financing, but what I loved, Courtney, was this idea, this decision of yours to not wait for someone else to greenlight you. Because again, in this industry, people can pat you on the head and be like, good luck, kid. And like you never hear from them again. So instead of waiting for another person to do that to you, you have greenlit yourself repeatedly. So how did that journey come about? And what was that decision point like?
So I kept writing these spec scripts. I was surrounded by writer friends, TV
Yeah.
friends, movie friends, and we were all writing spec scripts, And then the market for spec scripts changed, of course. But at the time, at the time you would hear about these spec sales for $300,000, $1 million if it was Shane Black or,
Yeah.
um, and so it was this lottery that you could play if you wanted to, but very few people won this lottery, right? And so years of me just learning writing requires a long apprenticeship to become good at it, right? And so you're writing, you're writing, you're writing, you're getting better, but it's like two steps forward, one step back. And so finally I had, developed my skills in it, but I was not selling a script. It was not happening. And I was so hung up on my plan of I'm going to sell a script and then someone will give me money, haha, to make a small personal film. This is such a joke to talk about this, but at the time,
No, we all
because
have
it
that
happened,
belief.
yeah, it happened to some dudes. And so I thought it could happen to women too. I didn't quite
Yeah.
pay attention to the fact that I wasn't hearing a lot of stories of it happening to women. I thought LA is modern. It's not sexist. What a joke, right?
Or
Okay. But
ageist.
so yeah, it's all everything. It's all the
Yeah.
ifs. But
Yeah.
so the handwriting started to be clearer on the wall, which was nobody is going to validate me. No one is going to say, "Hey, why don't you direct a movie?" No one was going to invite me to do this. I was going to have to do it
Yes.
myself. And when I got turned down by the AFI directing workshop for women for the second time, I couldn't believe it. I just was stunned. I had made a short film. I was a strong candidate. I had good reference letters, and it still didn't happen. Again, just was beside myself. I literally pulled over and cried in my car, and I said, and I was almost 40 years old at this point.
Yeah.
I was I was desperate, miserable. I was beside myself. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so at
I've
that
been there many times, so
right? You have to
yeah.
I almost feel like you have to get to that point to be able to direct because it's so overwhelming and such a daunting undertaking that you just can't believe you're going to have to do it yourself,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Yeah, why
I
would you
cannot do
will
this by myself.
yeah, why would we willingly and joyfully enter something that's so daunting? So it does take a lot of rejection for us to get to a place where we're like, "I guess I'll do that thing that seems really hard."
Yeah, that's right. And
Yeah.
there comes a point where the pain of avoiding it is much worse than the pain of doing it. And so I was finally at that point. And
Yeah.
I'm very independent. I'm very self directed. I'm very self motivated. So it wasn't, you know, it was within my scope to tackle this, but it still was very scary, And so,
Yeah.
anyway, that's so I vowed to myself with that shitty rejection letter, I was like, I'm going to make a movie while these bitches are making short films. And I I was just like that I have to. And
Yes.
within 6 months, I think within a 6 months I was walking onto the set of my movie What Other Couples Do. And then after that I really kind of didn't look back in that I knew how to do it. I was going to do it again and again, you know. That's where I was.
I love this so much for so many reasons. First, my favorite quote is that an Anais Nin quote, and the day came when the risk to remain closed in a bud became more painful than the risk it took to blossom. It's exactly what we're talking about. like, there just comes a day, and we all know that day. It's like being in a shitty relationship that you've tolerated for way too long, and then one day you are done.
Yeah,
It's the
and you don't
same
know why you
thing.
stayed or whatever. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and you don't know why today is different, it just is, and I
Yeah.
love this space. I also love that, like, what you said, because I said this, we premiered my film last week, my short film, and someone asked in the Q&A, like, "Are you gonna do it again?" And this just kinda tumbled out of my mouth, but I heard myself say it. I said, "Well, now I'm really dangerous because now I know I can."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was
Who said
oh.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it just, I felt the power. I felt empowered in that moment, I felt
Yeah.
so like, okay, this is a new way, and I'm excited by this new way because crickets and no's and pats on the head or back are so boring. They're so tired. They're so not
Yeah, you're over
interesting.
it.
Yeah, and I love being in that place because it means there's a better way, a different way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how has being in midlife informed the films you're making?
So the current film that I'm making is about women and aging. It's all about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of what I've thought about the last few several years. And so there was a time at which I did not see the humor of it. I did not see the necessary journey transformation. I was gripping the doorway. I did
Yeah.
not
Oh
want it.
yeah.
And so it was really painful. But now I'm ready, not even so much to laugh at it. I still find it challenging, a lot of it,
Yeah.
um but I am ready to make scenes out of those experiences and
And
hopefully,
explore it. Like,
yeah.
you and I talked
I
about
kind of,
this. Yeah, we talked about this in our initial conversation because we both share a love for that movie, Friends with Money, and how Frances McDormand, even in my 30s, I thought she was my favorite, and I related to her. And now, and you and I talked about this before, like, she was perimenopausal or menopausal. That was what everyone wanted her to wash her hair. She was just going through hormonal shifts, and I like, it makes me want to watch it again tonight because every time I
yeah.
watch it, I relate to her more and more, and, like, I'm going on 2.5 months without a period, and I'm like, "Oh, we're really here, okay."
Yeah.
Like, I
Yes.
just
They never say the word.
they
They never say
never
the M
said it.
word. They never say the P word. They don't address it that directly, but the funny thing is, any woman who has gone through it recognizes 100% what she's experiencing. It's the same with
Yeah.
"Where'd you go, Bernadette?" or "Bernadette, where are you?"
Yes, I haven't seen that, you mentioned that, I gotta watch that. Yeah.
I'm convinced that Linklater that movie is based on a novel, I think a popular book or something. I'm convinced it's about a woman who is tripping in midlife, and
Love it.
they don't say the M word, but I don't think in that movie, but it looks pretty much like somebody who's losing her mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so real and confronting and elusive and confusing because nobody talks about it till you get here, and then it's like, "Wait, we should have been talking about this before because 'cause I'm not ready." And
But then,
I have such a visual of what you said before of, like, gripping the doorway, like, "I'm not ready."
yeah, it's really hard to go from like 45 years of kind of uninterrupted cuteness to suddenly you're not pretty anymore. You're not the young, cute one when you walk in a room or whatever. Even if I always say, even if you didn't lead with your looks, even if
Yes.
you didn't think your looks were that great, I
Yes.
look back and I'm like, I wasn't even that pretty, but I was young. I miss being young,
Yes.
you
Oof.
know?
Oof, so I peaked late. I think I peaked at 40. Like, I got cuter at 40, so I'm really going kicking and screaming because I haven't had enough cute time. Like, I really haven't.
You look great, Lisa. I'm sitting here
Well,
thinking
thank
you look
you.
great. So, yeah.
You and I know it takes a lot to prop this face up.
Yeah, I know. It's
All
gonna
the
take a lot of
things.
money if
Yeah, and yeah, it's gonna take even more if I do something there. Um,
Yeah,
Thank you, and I feel the same about you. I'm like, "You are still young and cute to me in my mind." Like, I'm still picturing you with,
thank
like,
you.
cute little shorts on and all of it. So
But we
but
have to
it's
keep
fun.
moving the goalposts, right? Like, you have to keep changing your idea of what it's like, now I can look at old, aged, wrinkled faces and see the beauty in them, but there was
I
a point,
know.
Lisa, where I did not see the
Yeah,
beauty in that, and
same.
it's painful, it's sad, like, I knew I felt sad that and bad that I could not see beauty in it. You know what I mean?
And I think that's beautiful that you felt that way because that meant you wanted to. I just remember there was a point in time, and obviously I must have been in my I mean, I wasn't in my 20s at this point, but I just remember I would look at an old person and be like, that is an old person. Like, never mind what their day might be like or what their life has been like or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I spent a
You
lot of
just see them
time
as an old person, yeah.
yeah. And like, that was the only point, like, that was the only time in their life. And,
Yeah, I know, like, you don't see them as they once were a young person and
full of life and like yeah, and so my dad is 85 and, had a back surgery, so I spent several months spending a lot of time with him in his recovery and watching how people treated him, and some were lovely and some were dismissive, and my dad, he I got major brownie points for this, and I understand she was not ageist when she said this, but I took it the wrong way. So we're in a doctor's office. It's a new doctor to my dad. He's never met the man, and so before he meets the doctor, he's with the nurse, and the nurse is asking my dad a lot of questions, and my dad is very functional up here, so he's answering them well. And she finally says, "Wow, you're sure in good shape for your age." Mind you, she's
yeah,
20, and
yeah,
I don't know if I stood up, but my voice changed, and I was like, "You do not speak to my father that way. You really need to check your age bias," or something like that, and my dad just started laughing. He thought it was the funniest thing, and he
yeah,
will tell people that story, and he's like, "I got Lisa, so no one's gonna mess with me," and I was like,
yeah,
"That
that's
was"
sweet. He knows yeah, that's is very
but
supportive. Yeah. She's
here's
not
the
gonna forget
thing.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I hope not. I probably could have handled it better, so I admit that part of it, and the thing that I really rail against is the unconscious bias. Like, what
Yes.
she was speaking to was unconscious bias. She wasn't saying, "Hey, old man." She was probably trying to give him a compliment.
Oh, yeah,
Based
totally, but she's saying aloud like, she's expressing aloud the expectation that an older person is gonna be checked out, like, out to lunch,
yes.
have cognitive decline,
Yeah.
and it's a bummer expectation, and it's not true, obviously, across the board, and so, yeah.
Yeah, and then my other my other cute story on the way out of that appointment, I got my dad into the car, and then there was this older gentleman in a wheelchair, and I think he'd had a partial leg amputation, so he and I was like, "Sir, could I help you wheel on into your appointment?" And he was like, "Well, pretty lady like you could do that for me any day." And so, like, then
That's
I
so
wheeled
great.
this lovely man into his appointment, and I was just like,
Love it.
I wouldn't have done that had I not had these experiences with my own dad and seen how people
Yeah.
treated him. So
Yes.
when I now see what I perceive as an older person, I make eye contact. I say hello. There's a
Yes.
woman on my hike, and I haven't seen her in a while, but I did hear someone talking about Barbara the other day on the trail. Apparently, Barbara broke her arm, but she's in her 70s and she hikes that trail every day that I hike it. And she's my
Amazing.
icon. I want to be doing that in
Yeah.
my 70s, like Barbara.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, we're
No,
off track, but I love this.
but you become more mindful of how we treat older people, knowing that we will be there one day, right? And you hope
If
to
we're
get respect.
lucky,
Yeah, if you're lucky. And you hope to get interest. You hope people still connect with you.
yes. And I want that experience for my father, and so I'm going to reciprocate with other people that I see in the world who look my father's age.
Yes,
Um,
that's I
s
love that.
so you are working on a film about midlife. What else is on your creative bucket list?
I have a movie that I wrote called A Blind Date in NYC. It requires a bigger budget. I wanna shoot it with name actors. I've got a great actress attached to it. I'd like to get a name actor or star opposite her. Um, but I wanna shoot that in New York, so that's out
Yeah,
there. I wanna do that. I wanna I just wanna keep making relationship movies. I
love it.
love it's they're not exactly romantic comedies in my opinion, but they're like romantic comedies, relationship movies,
Yes.
but I'm just into that genre.
I love that, and I'm with you. It's not necessarily rom-com, it's just exploring relationships.
Yeah, just men and women, how they interact, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. Well, we both do know a producer who knows how to get a high-end financing, and he said he wanted to work with you. So I'm just saying, follow
I
up on
know.
that.
I'm gonna email him. I've been thinking about how to say like, what to say and how to say it. I think short and sweet is best.
I agree. Short and sweet, but if you want to write it and send it to me for like a little moral support or tweaking, I'm happy
Somebody to
to.
look at it.
But, like, I literally sat in that audience and I watched that exchange, and that's why I went up to you afterwards, and messaged you later. I was like, "Follow up on that." He meant that, and he saw you, and it's so easy in this industry not to be seen, and so I recognized that he saw you, and I wanted to make sure you knew that.
Thank you so much, Lisa. That's
Yeah,
very sweet of you and very generous. And I
it's real.
absolutely will. I've been reading about that guy for 30 years, you know, forever.
Yeah,
I've
and now
always thought
here
it's
we are.
cool. He occupies an odd space, right? Because he was a big agent, but he was also producing independent films, I think even back then.
Yes. He's blazed his own trail and done it his way, and I really respect that.
Yeah, it's a
A
unique
and continues
it's
to
a
do
hybrid.
so.
He was a hybrid.
Yeah. Yeah, and continues to do so in an industry that can feel like things have changed and you can't do it the old way. Like, he's still finding ways to do it his way, and I really respect that.
Yeah.
And we're not being
Yeah.
coy, but I just wanna be respectful, so we're not gonna mention names. Um So I want to switch gears and talk about your book. It's called Yes You Can: How to Make a Movie for Almost No Money. So when did this come about? What's the process been like for you of writing and getting this book out in the world?
So when I was gearing up to make the first movie, What Other Couples Do, I talked to enough people and everyone kind of gives you crumbs. And so you have an idea of how to do it with this tiny amount of money, but you're not totally sure because you've never done it and it's all
Yeah.
mysterious to you. And so I thought I would love to write a book so that that person who's in my shoes has a template, just a guidepost saying, yes, you're on the right track. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that with the caterer,
Yeah.
with the insurance, whatever. And so I always knew I wanted to write a book about it, just something short and sweet, like tell people how to go about it. And then when the pandemic happened, I became really down and I just had no imagination for coming up with plot lines for a script. So I was like, well, now would be a good time to write that book because I don't have
Perfect
to use my
time.
imagination. I just need to write what I know, what I've experienced. And so that's what I did. It was it came out of me really fast. Like I just did it really pretty darn fast. And I hired a book coach, like a book consultant. And
Good.
yeah,
It's
she
a whole
designed
undertaking.
it is. It can be. And I'm used to doing everything myself. Like if I don't know how to do it, I'll learn how to do it. But in that case, I'm really glad I hired someone because she designed the interior of the book. She got a designer to come up with cover ideas for the book. All
Nice.
of these things that I don't want to become an expert at, you know?
Yes, I so get that. Well, congratulations on the book. What's the response been like? How do you feel about it? Like, books are like movies. I was saying I wrote a Substack about this the other day that like I remember the first time someone came up with one of my books and they'd highlighted a passage from a book I'd
Neat.
written. And
So
I
what
was
is
like,
your book?
that I've written books
What's your
about
book?
breakups. So my first
Oh,
book was called
cool.
It's a Breakup, Not a Breakdown. And then there's a workbook version. And then there was a book called If He's Not the One Who Is. And then there was one called How to Meet Your Husband.
Oh, this is great. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I
cool.
too shared the love of exploring relationships, but I just remember that moment of someone bringing a book, and it's one thing to do, like, a little signing, but, like, I highlighted this because it was so important, and so I was
Makes you
likening
feel
that to
good.
hearing the laughter and the at my premiere last week for my short film, like, it's a similar experience, but honestly, this is better because it was a room full of people having the same experience, and I just was
Yes.
I mean, I could get addicted to that.
I know. It's like applause, right? It's like
Yeah.
applause. It is applause, you
Yeah.
know?
So,
Yeah.
yes, so
I totally
this
get it.
journey of writing the book, what's it been like in terms of the response and how people are receiving it and how they're inspired by it?
That is all great. Like people's response to it. I've had a lot of friends and family read it who have no intention of making a film, who just were being supportive and were curious and nice enough to write reviews on Amazon. Um, and what's great is everyone's been like, "This is so helpful. I feel like I could attempt to make a movie." You know, like it's been great as far as people are telling me it has value, that they really learned from it. All of that has been. I've not had any unhappy customer. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
like I don't think I have any negative reviews. I don't think, but but it's not as fun to me as making a movie
Yeah. I
because
get
you know,
that.
like it's books. I read books all voraciously, but it's like there's something about movies. It's such a total experience, like music, you know, sound
It's
design,
all of
dialogue.
it.
I
Yes.
just love it. The moving pictures plus sound, and it's just the magic, you
Yes.
know, and it pulls you in. And it's like there's just nothing like that to me.
I really for the first time, I can say I really understand that. I really get that, and yeah, I'm so excited that you're continuing to make movies, and I can't wait for you to make your New York movie.
Thank you.
Okay, so we gotta talk about being Gen X. What's your favorite thing, excuse me, about being Gen X?
We are a small subset of the population. You know, we kind of are one of the smallest generations, I
Yeah,
think.
we are. Yeah,
And I feel like we all understand how we're different from other generations. We're more resilient. We're not as me focused as the baby boomers were.
yeah,
We weren't coddled by our baby boomer parents. You know, there were no participation trophies. There was no unearned praise. It's like if you it
yeah.
was rare to get praise. And if you did, it's because you did something excellent, right? And
Yes.
so the bar was high. The bar was high. And so we worked hard, I feel like. I feel like we worked without expectation of much. Um and I think we're resilient. We're tough, you know, like we just do what
Mhm.
needs to be done. We're not whiners. We're not looking for our cookie, you know, like we just do it, what needs to be done. And so I just feel like we're resilient and tough, you know. Um, Not to say that we ignore our needs or that we don't have needs.
Right.
I think everyone's now realized, oh, you got to pay attention to what you need, you know,
We
like it
may have come to
matters.
that late.
We did come to that late, I think. You know what I mean? But we
Yeah,
were kind of a there's no crying in baseball type of generation, I
yeah.
think. You know what I mean? But it's like you realize, no, you have to be able to emote. Men have to be able to cry. Boys, it's not unmanly to cry if you're a boy. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I think all those lessons are important and matter, you know, but I of course I love everything. Our music, our movies, the design, aesthetic, the clothing, the ruffles, the pink polos, you know, all of it.
All of it, the neon.
I loved it. I loved it. I never get tired of it.
Yes. Oh, same, same, same. Yes. Oh, I love it so much. Okay. So if you could go back and tell your younger self one thing before entering midlife, what would it be?
I would say it's gonna be fucking gnarly, and
Woof.
that would help me. That would help me because I felt like I was blindsided, and
Yes.
it would help me to know, "Yes, honey, it's gonna be hard, um, but that but don't fight it." Lisa, for years, I was like, I have an older friend who's like my mentor. And she was like, I think you're angry about some stuff. I think you're sad about some stuff. Why don't you let that come up? Sad? Like I just
Right.
I couldn't, like I'm a positive person. I'm optimistic, whatever.
Yeah.
I always say I'm optimistic because I'm actually a pessimist. I'm actually a pessimist at heart. And so I'm always pleasantly surprised when anything goes well. So that's why I'm happy is what I say. But I just did not let the pain come up. I just was shoving it down. Like
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not mad at anyone. I'm not mad about my certain dreams not happening, whatever. And it's like, no, it would have been much better if I just if I just cried right away from the beginning when I felt like it. And it took a while for me to embrace that and do it.
Oh, I so get that. That's a good one. Woof.
Okay.
Yeah, that resonates. And then finally, what's bringing you joy?
Funnily enough, I think once you make it through the midlife passage, this transition to being older, in which I literally there was a point, Lisa, where I didn't care if I lived or died. I was kind of like, if I can't be pretty, I know
I
this is
get
going to
it.
sound crazy.
No, I get it.
If I have to be old and ugly for the next 40 years, I don't think I can fucking deal with that. That's how I felt. Okay. And so for a while, I
That is
just did
so
not.
fair and real.
Thank you for acknowledging that. Some people are like,
Yeah,
whoa, that's dark. Okay, fucking get real, man. Be dark.
that's
Like I
real.
am dark. I'm being dark about this. Okay. And so I had to be truthful about that for a while. I just was pissed. I was pissed at my situation and I was fighting it. And then once you cry a billion tears, an ocean of tears, and you come out the other side, I'm happy again to be alive. I'm happy again
Yes.
to have time in front of me. I am thrilled and grateful to God, for my life. And I have a wonderful home life. I have loving family and friends. And that is all that matters is the
Yeah.
people in my life. That's what I care about. I care about old friends. I care about my high school friends. I care about the stranger on the street who smiles and just wants to be nice and make a connection. I love all of that. So that's what brings me joy, as well as listening to birds. I've become a bird nerd. I'm
Oh, okay.
I love birds. I love watching them. I love listening to them. Their joyful chirping song in the morning while I'm making breakfast. I make a good breakfast for my husband and me. We sit, we enjoy, we laugh at our dogs. Yeah, we just have a nice, happy home life. And so all of those things are just kind of the old saying, the things that are free in life, right?
Yes.
But
Something
that are not
yeah.
not hard won. I mean, it's lucky to have those things.
Yes.
So
Oof. You're so right. I feel and I'll piggyback that because being midlife allows you to be, like, emotionally and gratitudinally existential, and
yeah,
so, yes, they're all the tears, like, "I look like my mother. Oh god, I never wanted to look like Betty Stedman." Oh, all the things. But
Betty
but
said
then but then
hilarious.
there's, "Oh my god, I love my husband so much. Oh my god, we get to sit in this backyard that he planted during the pandemic and just, like, drink a cocktail and, like, watch the birds and the bees that weren't here when it was all concrete." I
Simple
got to watch my
pleasures.
yeah, I got to watch my cat catch a hummingbird and eat it, which broke my heart for the hummingbird, but I was like, "You're doing your natural instinct, dude. High five." Like,
They're hunters. They're hunters. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I love this conversation. To be continued for sure.
Me too.
So, thank you for being here today, Courtney. Loved this conversation. If people want to find out more about you, more about your films, your book, where can they go?
Thank you for asking. I have a website called CourtneyDanielsFilms.com, and that has links to my movies where you can find them online. And then on Instagram at Courtney Daniels 2U, TOYOU.
I love
And
it.
yeah, but thank you, Lisa. Thank you for talking to me. I'm honored to be a guest on this great podcast. I've enjoyed listening to it, and I'm
Oh,
thrilled that we met.
I'm so thrilled. I know. I feel like we got lots to talk about still. So, for everyone listening, thanks for being here today. We will continue the conversation at another time. And just remember to enjoy your midlife, y'all.